with you, I've probably heard 5 of his shows. I don't think he sounds like Kermit the Frog or anything like that. I think he has his own distinctive voice. And anyway, you all know about Kevin and his docs and the stuff from the Supreme Court of the state of Vermont and the decision rendered and the allegations made that were apparently upheld or believed by the court. And I got to tell you, the Vermont justice system is not all. The Vermont justice system is minor league in terms of getting the job done. Now, for example, and I'll get back to Kevin in a minute, but I want to talk about the state of Vermont where I live in. Last Friday afternoon, a DCF, which is in this state, Department of Children and Families, a DCF caseworker was assassinated, shot with like 320, 306, some weird caliber John F. Kennedy blow your head off type rifle. This woman who had her child taken away from her by this caseworker came out with a hunting rifle and shot this woman 2 times, dead. Big news in Vermont. But the next day, they discover 3 bodies of this woman. It was a woman who shot this DCF worker to death. Before she shot the DCF worker, Department of Children and Families, she killed 2 of her cousins and her aunt, I guess. So this lady, who looks like a female, I just hit my head on a heating pipe. I hope that walking around is not affecting sound. But anyway, this female killed the caseworker, her 2 cousins, and her aunt because they took her kid. Now, obviously, if she's capable of doing that, they should have taken her kid. But this, that was huge news in Vermont, and our governor had to fly back in. He was on vacation in Nova Scotia, and here's an interesting fact. Our governor, who is not running for re-election in 2016, and we elect the governor every 2 years, not every 4 years, like probably just about every state. Vermont may be the only state that votes for governor every 2 years. But anyway, he's not going to run. But another weird thing about it is his lieutenant governor is a Republican. So he was acting governor at the time until the governor flew back in from Nova Scotia. So you got 4 dead people in Vermont. There are years that... There have been years that they had 4 in the year. The number is way up. I don't know if this chick was into drugs or why they took her kid. She was known to law enforcement, but she shot 4 people. She is only charged with 1. It's like they're just not going to prosecute the other 3 murders that she did because they got her with witnesses on the first shooting. I know the one shooting will give her the sentence that she needs to have, which is life in prison without parole. But the other charges should be those people who were killed, her family, their case should be heard too, in my opinion. And I know it costs the state money, but they should just legalize weed already, and we'd be the first state in New England. We'd have the monopoly until somebody else did it. It brings in like, I don't know the exact facts. I'm not like Mr. High Times or whatever, but I think Colorado brought in like $40 million since this happened. I may be way off. I may be low on the number, but from what I believe I heard yesterday, Colorado, $40 million into the state. Vermont, liberal state, obviously Bernie state, as we all know. Howard Dean, another nut from this state that ran for president. for a small state, it puts out some interesting politicians. It's an interesting state. It's a welfare state. And the court system, getting back to my subject, is broken. Now, I'm not going to go into my dealings with the court system. Everyone knows it. I've never hidden it. That's why I don't, unlike Kevin, someone reading anything about me wouldn't have bothered me because it was funny. It was a funny story. I didn't go to jail or anything. It was stupid. It was my first brush with the law. I was using the pills for legitimate reasons. I wasn't putting them back into the community. But I'm done with that. My sentence was deferred. It doesn't exist. The file's closed. I'm all good. So, but in the months just before that, probably from January to May, I was still under the conditions for getting the deferred sentence, and my basement was filled with marijuana. So, how smart am I? Not very. But anyway, so getting back to the Vermont justice system, they basically what they did to me was wrong. My mistake was in talking to the police. Talking to the guy like he was cool, like he's a friend, whatever. Do you mind if I tape you? No, go ahead. And I told him. I didn't sell them. I was doubling up. It was the month before my hip operation, the month of my hip replacement surgery, and the month after, 3 times. One from my primary care doctor and one from my surgeon. They're affiliated with the same hospital. They have computers. I asked for Vicodin or painkiller, whatever. They can't look on the computer and see that my primary care doctor has already prescribed Vicodin. And this is only 3 years ago? Bullshit. But I talked to that cop, and I'll never talk to a cop again. I don't trust cops. I saw what they did to me. Now, Kevin's case doesn't involve the police, but it does involve the courts. And of course, after my confession on tape, I couldn't really go to trial because I confessed to, obtaining prescriptions through deception, prescription fraud. And Kevin's case, he allegedly was, the cause of the divorce. And Kevin, I'm sorry if I'm talking about this, but everyone knows about it, so, it's not like I'm doxing you. I don't dox. That's not my thing. I like to try and troll. I'm not very good at it. But anyway, the state of Vermont court system is fucked up, and I'll have to put an explicit language warning on this. But first of all, his divorce was in Essex County. This place is there are more moose than people there. These people, there's game eaters, hunters. As I said, there's probably more moose in that county than there are people. She's local. She's brought up there. Her family is apparently known there, according to the documents. Of course Kevin's going to get fucked over by the state of Vermont. They hate flatlanders. Even when I say I lived in Maine for almost 20 years, that makes me, not a Vermonter. I'm a flatlander. Oh, and for some reason they hate New Jersey. Jersey, I don't know what it is about Vermonters, but they hate New Jersey. Oh, that's flatland. Those are the real flatlanders. And, they talk about it stinks like oil and how gross and disgusting it is. But anyway, that's beside the point. Getting back to this. So this county is pick a county other than Anchorage, Alaska, Pick a county like where Sitka, Alaska is, or a county in the middle of Wyoming somewhere. There's not much going on. And Kevin is the outsider. His old lady is the Vermonter. He's going to come out on the losing end of that thing. it's an old boy network. It's a clique. So I come out on the side of, I'm sure Kevin had arguments during his relationship or his marriage to this woman. I'm sure that both did things that irritated and set off the other. It kind of, everything happened kind of quickly, and I don't want to get into the details of who, I don't think he hit his wife, okay? If he did, he explained it by saying he defended himself, and I think that's fair. If he hit his wife in this state and she called the cops, if she alleged he hit her and called the cops and had any mark to prove that he did hit her, which she could inflict on herself before the cops get there if she's really that crazy. Anyway, if domestic abuse, yeah, they don't play around with domestic abuse, and they're more lenient on drunk drivers than they are on spousal abuse. So if that would have happened, and this girl was smart, why didn't she call the police and say that Kevin, hit her? And that kind of sounds like bullshit. And the court put that in the docket, and now Kevin is labeled as a wife beater. And it doesn't affect me in any way. He's a nice guy, and he's a nice guy over the internet. I don't know any of these people. I've never met any of these people. I don't know if I want to. I just want to keep the picture in my head of who these people are, I guess. I don't know what exactly I'm saying there, but just because the thing, you know what? It's a legal court record. It's supposed to be the be-all, tell-all. There is nothing beyond that. It's the Supreme Court of Vermont. I'm telling you, that doesn't mean that everything in there is 100% true, regardless of what it says. I know this state. I've lived here for 11 years, and I dealt with the law enforcement system here. Now, divorce isn't technically law enforcement, but it is courts, and I dealt with the courts. And it was just so silly. It's just so silly, and I think the abuse towards Kevin is wrong. I really don't think he hit his wife. If he's lying and hit his wife, then I'm a sucker, and it doesn't affect me in any way, and they'll still troll him regardless as a wife beater, but just because it says that he did doesn't necessarily mean that he did. Just because I obtained prescriptions doesn't mean I blatantly and, with intent intended to commit prescription fraud, yet that was the charge. So anyway, just a little bit on Kevin there. I understand he's doing a show on Spreaker tomorrow at 9 o'clock Eastern. He's going to discuss what we just discussed, this outing of him, doxing of him, court documents, allegations of spousal abuse, sleeping all day. When he's not sleeping, he's on the internet. Now, see, that contradicts him. From what I understand, his sleeping problems are worse than mine, and mine are pretty bad at times. So how did he go from sleeping all the time to not sleeping? That's a little odd to me in the document. The guy's educated. Yeah, big deal. These guys are getting on him because he didn't go into combat. It's like, dude, he went into the Navy or the Army or whatever he went into. He did his time. He did more than me for this country, I don't know. I'm going to be done. I'm done defending him. Listen to his show tomorrow on Friday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. I believe he's going to have a special guest on to discuss this situation. But don't believe everything you read in court records. in Essex County. No, is it Essex County? Yeah, Essex County, Vermont, which is like literally